Hey everybody, we have a pretty cool test for you today here at Cycle News. This next to me is my boy's bike, my boy Harvey. This is his Kawasaki Elektrode 20-inch. Now the Kawasaki 20-inch Elektrode actually comes in two versions. It comes in this model with the 28mm fork, and it also comes in the FS version, which has a higher handlebar but no front suspension. It comes with a rigid front fork. He's been riding this thing for the last 6 months, and I'm not kidding when I tell you he's ridden it every single day of the week. He loves this bike. It's going to cost you $2,199, so $2,199 MSRP at your Kawasaki dealer. Now, yes, it is a pretty penny, but you do have to look at what you're getting out of it. This is, in my opinion at least, I probably am, but I haven't ridden all of them, and I haven't, and neither has Harvey, but this is definitely one of the very best bikes for his age on the market. So Harvey is 8 years old now. He's 49 inches tall, just so give you a bit of an idea. Kawasaki are saying that this bike is designed for 8 years and up. To be honest, he's been riding it since he was 7, so I can't lie to you on that one. Harvey's had a few electric bikes over the years. Started out on some Stasics, and Kawasaki were gracious enough to give him a long-term loan on the original Elektrode 16-inch. This is a much more different animal compared to that 16. That 16 was a beginner bike. This thing it's a real bike. You know, this is basically a motorcycle, I've got to be honest, and that can bring a few concerns into young parents' minds, namely because the thing's bloody fast. So it comes with a 750 watt / 1 horsepower motor. It comes with 3 modes, so you've got a slow, medium and fast mode. The slow mode it'll do 13 miles an hour and do it at a relatively reasonable pace, but the medium and the fast modes will do 24 miles an hour, and it will get there incredibly quickly, especially with an 8-year-old on board. Now, the one thing that they've done for the 20 inch as opposed to the 16 Kawasaki have done is that the kid can change it on the fly. Well, not on the fly, they pull over and do it, but all they have to do is press the button. The 16-inch, the parent had to do a bit of a code to be able to change the modes to make the bike go faster. So you really have to trust your little ones that they're not going to go switching it up into the higher modes. Harvey at his age is not allowed to ride on the fast mode. He's only ever allowed to ride on the medium mode. But trust me, even with that mode, this thing's really, really quick. It will keep up with most cars under 20 mile an hour, which is a frightening thought. So you've got to be responsible when riding this bike. One of the good things I love about this bike is that my boy's been able to ride it to and from school every day, and then I ride it home, which is kind of hilarious. But the bike's really good for slow speed, almost trials riding. So we have a bit of a sort of embankment on the walk from our place to Harvey's school, and so he will then ride that bike each day, practice his trials riding, slow speed, maneuverability, and that comes down to not just the chassis, but also the fact that the throttle connection is really nicely mapped out from Kawasaki. It doesn't have that electric jolt when you get on the gas. So for him, as he's learning how to control the bike and control the chassis and do it on slippery surfaces and things like that, is really, really good for being able to instill confidence and really good base level skills. So you've got a 50.4 volt / 10.2 amp hour battery mounted in the frame with the Kawasaki, which is a good thing too, because it's got this big bash plate down the bottom here, which means that it's going to get protected. And of course, he's been chucking it off rocks and all kinds of things. I mean, this thing has hit the ground more times than I could possibly count, and has stood up to the punishment incredibly well. Now, if you wanted to take this bike, or your kid wanted to take this bike, put it on the, say, medium mode, I've got to be honest, we can't tell you what the difference is with the high mode because he's not allowed to ride it at this stage. But on the medium mode, if you just went out there and went flat stick, you just put the thing on the stops, you probably get about 30 to 40 minutes worth of ride time. You probably get less, if I'm honest, because we haven't done an absolute where we just had the thing on for the whole time, but it will drain the battery real fast. However, if you then go and ride the thing like a traditional dirt bike or whatever you like, or a mountain bike even, and you're doing a little bit of fast stuff with a lot of slow speed, rocky, rough sections and things like that, you can get hours out of this thing, 2 to 3 hours, and that's a long amount of riding time for an 8-year-old, and especially when they've got to keep concentrating and know exactly what to do. Harvey will only go back and forth from school each day, plus the odd ride around the neighbourhood. He'll get a week out of it. A week's riding, granted again, he's not riding for the full 3 hours, but on and off a week before I need to charge this thing. So I'm really, really impressed with that from Kawasaki. It's super cool. Now, if you run the bike fully flat, it's going to take you about 4 hours to charge on a 110 volt, so just bear that in mind. The controls are designed to kind of mimic halfway between a motorcycle and like a BMX bike or a mountain bike, for example. To that end, you've got big fat kind of BMX mountain bike style pedals as well, and they rotate. That's the other thing. So that's another thing that it teaches the rider, is it teaches them how to weight the bike in certain areas. Like get over the front, get your weight over the front, get your feet over the front of the peg and push the drive back down into the, like via the kind of back of the frame, straight into the wheel, and off you go. And conversely, it's the same thing. You want to lean back a little bit, the pegs will rotate back and put all that weight back into the rear tire, and you can start doing wheelies. So it teaches them different ways in which to ride the bike. The Elektrode 20 comes with front and rear disc brakes, 160mm discs. The cable actuated brakes, they're a bit sort of bargain basement, I gotta say, but I mean, look, it's a kid's bike, so let's be honest, I'm being a bit harsh there on Kawasaki, sorry about that. But again, it teaches him front and rear brake modulation, things like that. With this bike, now, a lot of bikes on the market don't allow this, and this is a big bonus for the Kawasaki. You can change the steering stem height, and you can also change the seat height. So the seat height has about 6 inches of range. So really, you're going to be able to give this to an 8-year-old. They should be able to ride it until they're at least 10, 11 years old, provided they don't just shoot up like a basketball player. So you'll get a lot of riding out of this bike. This bike's designed to instill a love of riding, and I've been pretty harsh on electric bikes, or at least the way that kids ride electric bikes these days. I mean, I'm probably not alone when I say there's a certain brand out there where a lot of people seem to have them and they kind of rove around in teenage gangs and get on the road and get in people's way, and I'm not for that. I am for stuff like this that teaches kids how to ride and can do it in a really safe fashion where they enjoy doing slow speed stuff, because unlike some of the larger bikes that are quite heavy and like the pedal assisted bikes, this is pretty light, really. It's 46 pounds, so it is, it's got a bit of girth behind it, but it still teaches my boy the right skills. He loves riding it. He just loves it. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, imagine being 8 years old and fanging around on one of those things. When I was 8, I had a Honda XR80 that I got to ride maybe 4 or 5 times a year at best. He gets to ride this every day. So I guess it's up to me and all the other parents around to ensure that we foster the love of riding and we keep this thing going, because I know Harvey's a convert. That to me is not a question. It's more a question of keeping him off the thing rather than keeping him on it. Okay, at 21 or call it $2,200, yep, it's a little bit on the pricier side, but you are getting a really quality piece from Kawasaki. It's got the name on there, you get a good warranty. As I said before, this thing has been crashed that many times, I can't tell you, and he hasn't bent anything. I mean, it's got scratches all over it, but like even the brake levers haven't been smashed, and even though it's hit the ground a lot. But it teaches the boy how to ride, it teaches the love. Man, I'm all for it. Get more kids on these kind of bikes, because we're going to need them in the future. But if I'm a parent talking to another parent, I reckon you can bet your bottom dollar that your kid's going to love something like this.
This thing's sick.